Orbital Station 7 was always busy. Ships came and went at all hours. Merchants sold strange goods from 100 different worlds. Aliens of every shape and size walked through the wide corridors, speaking in languages that filled the air like music. Iris watched it all with careful eyes. She was a species known across the galaxy for their intelligence and beauty. Her skin was soft blue, like morning mist over water. Her eyes were large and bright, catching every small detail around her. She moved with grace, her long robes flowing behind her as she walked. Beside her walked Elder, an old scholar with wrinkled skin and kind eyes. They had come to this station for one purpose. They were here to observe humans. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. In that short time, they had spread to dozens of stations and colonies. But most species did not think much of them. Humans were small. They were soft. They had no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons. They seemed designed for nothing special. Iris agreed with this opinion. As she walked through the station, she saw humans everywhere. They carried boxes. They cleaned floors. They fixed broken machines. They did the simple work that other species did not want to do. "Unremarkable," Iris said quietly to Elder. "I do not understand why the Council wants us to study them." Elder smiled gently. "The Council sees something in them. Perhaps we will too in time." Iris doubted this. She had read the reports about Earth. It was a harsh world full of danger, but many planets were dangerous. That did not make a species special. They walked through a large cargo bay where workers loaded and unloaded ships. The air smelled of metal and fuel. Machines beeped and hummed. Workers shouted orders to each other. Iris stopped to watch a group of humans working nearby. They moved heavy crates with simple tools, their bodies covered in sweat. One human caught her attention more than the others. He was average height for a human male. His hair was black and cut short. His face was calm, almost peaceful. He wore simple work clothes and lifted crates that looked very heavy, but he did not struggle. He moved with a smooth efficiency that seemed almost graceful. There was something about him that made Iris pause. She could not explain what it was. He looked like every other human worker, but the way he moved, the way he held himself, felt different somehow. It was like watching calm water that hid deep currents beneath. She learned his name from a passing conversation. Ho, a Korean name from one of Earth's old nations. "That one moves well," Elder observed quietly. Iris shook her head. "He is just a cargo worker, nothing more." But she found herself watching him for a moment longer before moving on. The trouble started 2 hours later. Iris and Elder were visiting a small market area when they heard shouting. A crowd had gathered near a merchant's stall. People were backing away, their faces showing fear. In the center of the crowd stood 3 massive figures. They were one of the galaxy's most feared warrior species. They stood nearly 8 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in thick green scales. Their arms were like tree trunks, ending in hands that could crush metal. Their yellow eyes showed no mercy. The leader was the largest. His name was, and everyone on the station knew him. He ran a gang that controlled much of the station's illegal business. He took money from merchants for protection. Anyone who refused suffered terrible consequences. Right now was standing over an elderly merchant. The old man had fallen to the ground. His goods were scattered around him. Blood ran from a cut on his face. "You will pay what you owe," growled. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "Or next time I will take more than money." Iris felt cold anger rise in her chest. The old merchant was like her. She wanted to help, but fear held her feet in place. They were too strong, too dangerous. No one could stand against them. The crowd watched in silence. Some looked away, others pretended not to see. This was how things worked on the station. The strong took what they wanted. The weak suffered. Kicked the old merchant one more time, then laughed. His 2 companions laughed with him. They turned and walked away, the crowd parting before them like water. As they passed, Iris saw something strange. Across the cargo bay, the human worker, Ho, was watching. He had stopped his work. He stood very still, a crate held easily in his hands. His face showed no expression, but his eyes. His eyes were not the eyes of a simple worker. Iris had seen many things in her travels. She had met warriors and killers from a dozen species. She knew what danger looked like. And in that moment, looking at this quiet human, she felt something she did not expect. She felt a warning. It lasted only a second. Then Ho turned back to his work and the moment passed. He was just a cargo worker again. Quiet, ordinary, unremarkable. But Iris could not forget what she had seen. That flash of something cold and controlled in his eyes. That perfect stillness that spoke of training, of discipline, of violence held in check. "Elder," she said softly, "did you see the human?" The old scholar nodded slowly. "I saw him." "What do you think?" Elder was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "I think, young one, that we should watch that human very carefully, and I think has made a mistake he does not yet understand." Iris looked back at Ho. He was loading crates again, his movements calm and steady. Nothing about him seemed dangerous. Nothing about him seemed special. But she remembered his eyes, and she knew, deep in her heart, that Elder was right. Something was going to happen, something that would change everything she believed about humans. She just did not know how soon it would come. That night, Iris could not sleep. She stood at the window of her quarters, watching the stars. Her thoughts kept returning to the human worker and the look in his eyes. Who was he? What was he? And why did she feel, for the first time in her life, that she had seen something truly dangerous wearing the mask of something ordinary? The galaxy was full of warriors. The all were known for their strength and skill. But humans were supposed to be weak, soft, helpless. So why did she feel afraid? She did not know, but she was determined to find out. Tomorrow she would watch. She would learn. And perhaps she would discover the truth about humanity that the galaxy had somehow missed. The stars outside her window burned cold and bright. Somewhere on the station was celebrating another successful day of fear and violence. Somewhere else, a human worker named Ho was sleeping peacefully. And somewhere in the space between them, a story was beginning. A story of strength and courage. A story of fear and wonder. A story that would change everything. Iris did not know it yet, but she was about to witness something that would make her question everything she believed. She was about to see a human fight. 3 days passed on Orbital Station 7. 3 days of watching and waiting. 3 days of and his gang growing bolder. They had started targeting humans specifically. Iris heard the stories from other aliens. The believed humans were the easiest prey on the station. They were small. They were weak. They never fought back. They just lowered their heads and gave whatever was demanded. It made hungry for more. Hannah Park was a human medical officer. She worked in the station's clinic, treating wounds and illnesses for any species that needed help. She was small, even for a human woman. Her hair was long and dark, tied back in a simple style. Her eyes were kind and she smiled easily. She was walking through a service corridor when they found her. 3 blocked her path, stood in the middle, his massive body filling the narrow space. His yellow eyes looked down at her with cruel amusement. "Human female," he said slowly. "You work in the medical center, yes. You must have access to drugs, valuable drugs." Hannah stood very still. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her voice calm. "I am a healer. I do not steal medicine." Laughed, it was an ugly sound. "I am not asking you to steal. I am asking you to pay tribute for safe passage, for protection." "Protection from who?" Smile showed all his teeth. "From me." The other laughed. One of them reached out and grabbed Hannah's arm. His grip was like iron and she could not pull away. "Let go of me," she said. Her voice was stronger than she felt. Brave words from a weak species. Stepped closer. He was so tall that Hana had to bend her neck back to see his face. "Maybe I should teach you respect. Maybe I should show you what happens to humans who do not pay." He raised his massive hand. "Let her go." The voice was quiet, calm. It came from behind. Everyone turned to look. Ho stood at the end of the corridor. He was still wearing his work clothes. His hands were empty. His face showed no expression. Stared at him for a moment, then he started laughing. "Another human, you want to be a hero?" He turned his whole body to face Ho. "Do you know who I am, little man? Do you know what I have done? I have killed warriors from 100 worlds. I have crushed bones with my bare hands. And you think you can stop me?" Ho did not answer. He just stood there waiting. His laughter died. Something about the human's calm was wrong. It was not the calm of fear. It was not the calm of surrender. It was something else. Something that made the feel a tiny flicker of uncertainty. He pushed the feeling away. This was a human, a cargo worker, nothing to fear. "You want to die that badly?" asked. "I want you to let her go," Ho said simply. "Then I want you to leave, never bother humans again." The corridor was silent, then threw back his head and roared with laughter. His companions joined him. The sound echoed off the metal walls. "You hear that?" shouted. "This human thinks he can give me orders." He wiped tears from his eyes. "I am going to enjoy killing you. I am going to make it slow." Word spread fast on a space station. By the time dragged everyone to the main cargo bay, a crowd had gathered. Aliens of every species stood around the edges of the open space. They whispered to each other, pointing at the small human who had dared to challenge the. Iris pushed through the crowd until she could see clearly. Her hearts were beating hard. She did not know why she felt so worried. She barely knew this human, but something made her need to watch. Elder appeared beside her. His old face was serious. "This is going to be bad," Iris whispered. "The will kill him." "Perhaps," Elder said quietly. "Perhaps not. Watch closely, young one. You may learn something today." Walked to the center of the cargo bay. He was smiling widely, enjoying the attention. He removed his weapon belt and threw it to one of his companions. "I will not need weapons for this," he announced loudly. "I will kill this human with my bare hands. I want everyone to see what happens to those who challenge me." The crowd murmured. Some looked away, not wanting to see a murder. Others watched with hungry eyes, eager for violence. Ho walked forward calmly. He rolled his shoulders once, loosening his muscles. He did not look at the crowd. He did not look at Hana, who was being held at the edge of the space by the other. He only looked at. "Last chance, little human," said. "Kneel and beg for mercy. Maybe I will only break your legs." Ho shook his head slowly. "No." Smile disappeared. "Then you die." He charged. They were known for their speed. Despite their size, they could move like lightning when they attacked. Crossed the space between them in less than a second, his massive fist swinging toward Ho's head. The punch would have killed any normal being. But Ho was not there. He moved at the last possible moment. His body shifted to the side like water flowing around a stone. His fist hit empty air. The crowd gasped. Spun around, surprised but not worried. He attacked again, and again, and again. Each time his fists found nothing. Ho moved like smoke, always just out of reach. He did not run. He did not retreat. He simply was not where expected him to be. "Stand still," roared. "Fight me like a warrior." Ho stopped moving. He stood in the center of the cargo bay, his arms relaxed at his sides. His breathing was calm. His face was still expressionless. "Okay," he said quietly. Charged again with a roar of triumph. This time the human did not dodge. He stepped forward into the attack. Iris saw what happened next, but her mind could not understand it. Ho's hands moved in a blur. He caught arm and twisted. His body turned, using this own momentum against him. There was a sickening crack as elbow bent the wrong way. The massive warrior screamed. But Ho was not finished. He struck knee from the side, another crack. The fell to one knee. Ho's elbow drove into his throat. His palm struck his ear. His knee drove into his face. Each movement was precise, perfect, devastating. It took less than 10 seconds. Lay on the deck, gasping for air. His arm was broken. His knee was destroyed. Blood ran from his nose and mouth. He tried to rise but could not. Ho stood over him, not even breathing hard. The cargo bay was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. They had just watched a human, a small, soft, weaponless human, destroy one of the galaxy's greatest warriors with his bare hands. Iris realized her mouth was open. She closed it slowly. Her whole body was shaking, and she did not know if it was from fear or from something else. The other released Hana and ran. They did not even try to help their leader. They just fled, their scales pale with terror. Ho turned away from. He walked to Hana and looked at her with concern. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. She shook her head. She could not speak. Ho nodded. He took her arm gently and began to lead her away from the crowd. His shoulders were humble again. His presence was fading back to something ordinary. But Iris saw his eyes as he passed. They were calm, controlled, the eyes of someone who had done this many times before. She felt her heart's pounding. She felt her legs trembling. She felt something in her chest that she had never felt before. And before she could stop herself, the words escaped her lips in a whisper. "I wish he was mine." Elder turned to look at her. His ancient eyes were full of knowing concern. "Be careful, child," he said softly. "Humans are not what they appear to be. They never have been." Iris watched Ho disappear into the corridor. The crowd was beginning to wake up, voices rising in shock and confusion. But she barely heard them. All she could think about was what she had seen. All she could feel was her hearts beating faster than they ever had before. She had come to this station, thinking humans were unremarkable. She had been so wrong. The station never stopped talking about what happened in the cargo bay. Every species on Seven had seen the fight or heard about it. A human cargo worker had defeated a warrior in single combat. No weapons, just his bare hands. It seemed impossible. It seemed like a lie. But dozens of witnesses had seen it with their own eyes. Iris was one of them, and she could not forget it. She found herself returning to the cargo bay every day. She told herself it was for research. She was here to study humans after all. This was simply her duty, but deep down she knew the truth. She wanted to see him again. Ho had returned to his work as if nothing had happened. He loaded crates. He moved supplies. He spoke quietly with other workers. He did not seem to notice the way aliens looked at him now, with fear, with respect, with wonder. But Iris noticed. She noticed everything about him. She noticed how he moved with his weight always balanced. She noticed how his eyes checked every entrance when he entered a room. She noticed how his hands were rough with calluses, not just from cargo work but from something else, something harder. She wanted to know his story. She wanted to understand how a species everyone dismissed as weak could produce someone like him. 1 week after the fight, she finally found the courage to speak to him. He was sitting alone during a break, eating a simple meal from a metal container. Iris approached slowly, her heart's beating fast. "May I sit here?" she asked. Ho looked up. His eyes studied her for a moment. Then he nodded and gestured to the seat across from him. Iris sat down gracefully. For a moment, neither of them spoke. She did not know how to begin. "You are the diplomat," Ho said finally. His voice was quiet and calm. "I have seen you watching me." Iris felt heat rise to her face. "I apologize if I made you uncomfortable. I was just curious." "About the fight?" About you. Ho looked at her for a long moment. Something in his expression softened slightly. What do you want to know? Iris leaned forward. How did you do it? They are one of the strongest species in the galaxy. Their warriors train their whole lives. How did a human defeat one so easily? Ho was quiet for a moment. He looked down at his hands. It was not easy, he said softly. Nothing in my life has been easy. Tell me. He looked at her again. Something passed between them, a moment of connection, of trust. Then he began to speak. I grew up in the lower districts of Seoul. On Earth, there are places where the law does not reach, places where survival is the only rule. My family had nothing, no money, no protection, no hope. He paused, his eyes distant with memory. When I was 14, men came for my father's debts. He could not pay, so they took me instead. They put me in the fighting pits. Iris felt cold horror spread through her chest. Fighting pits. Underground arenas. Illegal. Humans fighting other humans for the entertainment of rich people. The fighters are slaves. We fight or we die. There is no other choice. His voice was flat, emotionless, but Iris could see the pain beneath the surface. I fought for 8 years, Ho continued. Every kind of opponent, every kind of weapon. I learned to survive, I learned to win, and I learned something important. What? That strength is not about size. It is not about muscles or claws or weapons. Strength is here. He touched his head. And here, he touched his chest. A fighter who controls his mind and his heart cannot be defeated. Iris thought about his words. She remembered watching him fight, the calm in his eyes, the perfect control of his body. He had not fought like a desperate man. He had fought like water flowing downhill, natural, inevitable, unstoppable. How did you escape? She asked quietly. The pits were raided when I was 22. The authorities shut them down. I was free, but I had nothing. No skills except fighting, no life except violence. He smiled slightly, but there was no happiness in it. So I came to space. I thought maybe out here I could be something different, something peaceful. But violence found you again. Violence always finds us. The question is what we do when it comes. He looked at her directly. I did not want to fight, but I could not let him hurt Hana. I could not let him hurt anyone else. Sometimes peace requires fighting. Iris was silent for a long moment. She was seeing this human in a completely new way, not as a simple worker, not as a violent warrior, but as a person who had suffered greatly and still chose to protect others. You are remarkable, she said softly. Ho shook his head. I am just a human. We are all like this deep down. Earth made us this way. Thousands of years of survival on a world that was trying to kill us. We learned to be strong because we had no choice. But you could use your strength for yourself. You could take what you want like does. That is not strength. That is weakness wearing a mask. His eyes met hers, and she felt her heart skip. True strength is protecting those who cannot protect themselves. True strength is choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. Iris did not know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No warrior, no philosopher, no diplomat from any species had ever made her feel what she was feeling now. She wanted to know everything about him. She wanted to spend hours talking with him, learning about Earth and humanity and the person behind those calm eyes. She wanted him. The realization hit her like a wave. This was not just curiosity. This was not just respect. This was something deeper, something her species rarely felt, something she had never expected to feel for an alien. For a human. Ho, she began. But before she could continue, Commander Ho appeared. He was a tall human with a serious face and military posture. He ran security for the human workers on the station. Ho, he said urgently, we have a problem. Ho rose immediately. What is it? The contacted his clan. They are sending warriors to avenge his defeat. The commander's face was grim. 12 of them. They will arrive in 2 days, and they are coming for you." Iris felt ice spread through her body. 12 warriors. Even Ho could not fight that many. No one could. Ho's expression did not change. He nodded slowly. "I understand," he said calmly. "I will be ready. Station security cannot protect you. We are outmatched. If you want to run, no one would blame you. I can arrange transport." "No," Ho's voice was quiet but firm. "I will not run. This is my home now. These are my people. If they want me, they can come, but I will not hide." Commander Ho nodded with respect. "Then we stand with you, whatever happens." He walked away, already speaking into his communicator, organizing whatever defense he could. Iris stood up. Her legs were shaking. Her minds were racing. "You cannot fight 12 alone," she said. "It is suicide." Ho looked at her, and for the first time she saw something in his eyes besides calm control. She saw warmth. She saw gratitude. She saw something that made her heart's beat even faster. "Then I will die protecting what I believe in," he said softly. "There are worse fates." He turned to walk away. "Wait," Iris called. He stopped. She did not know what to say. She did not know how to express what she was feeling. So she said the only thing she could think of. "I want to help you." Ho looked back at her. A small smile touched his lips, the first real smile she had seen from him. "Thank you, Iris," he said. "That means more than you know." Then he was gone, disappearing into the corridors of the station. Iris stood alone in the empty space. Her thoughts were spinning. Her hearts were pounding. 2 days, 12 warriors, 1 human. She had to do something. She had to find a way to help him. Because she had finally admitted the truth to herself. The truth she had whispered in the cargo bay. The truth she could no longer deny. She did not just wish he was hers. She could not imagine a universe without him in it. And she would do anything, anything to keep him alive. The next 2 days changed everything on Orbital Station 7. News of the coming spread through every corridor and market. Aliens whispered in fear. Some began making plans to leave before the warriors arrived. Others simply stayed in their quarters, hopping to avoid the violence they knew was coming. But the humans did not hide. Word passed quietly through the human community. In the cargo bays, in the kitchens, in the maintenance tunnels and medical centers, a human brother was in danger. He needed help. And humans do not abandon their own. Iris watched it happen with growing amazement. She had thought humans were scattered individuals working alone, surviving alone. She had been wrong. They were a family, a tribe, a pack that protected its members with fierce loyalty. Ho did not ask for help. He did not want anyone else to risk their lives, but the humans came anyway. Hana was the first. She found Ho in the cargo bay and stood before him with her arms crossed. "You saved my life," she said firmly. "I am not leaving you to face this alone. Hana, these are warriors. You could be killed. Then I will be killed standing next to my friend. Better that than living as a coward." More humans followed. Workers from the cargo bays, engineers from the power systems, cooks from the cafeteria, medical staff from the clinic. They came in ones and twos, then in groups. Commander Ho brought every off-duty security officer he could find. They were not many, and they were not soldiers, but they were humans. "We stand together," the commander said simply. "That is our way." Ho looked at the growing crowd of his people. Iris saw something in his eyes that she had never seen before. Emotion. Deep, powerful emotion that he could barely control. "You should not do this," he said quietly. "This is my fight." An old human woman stepped forward. She worked in the station's laundry. Her hands were worn and her back was bent, but her eyes were fierce. "Your fight is our fight," she said. "We have been pushed around long enough, called weak, called soft, called lesser." She lifted her chin proudly. "It is time the galaxy learned what humans really are." A murmur of agreement passed through the crowd. Iris felt tears forming in her eyes. She had never seen anything like this. The valued independence, individual achievement. They did not understand this kind of bond, this willingness to die for each other. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. That night, Iris did something she had never done before. She contacted the Dominion directly and requested emergency diplomatic intervention. The response was not encouraging. "This is an internal station matter," the diplomatic office told her. "The Dominion does not involve itself in alien conflicts." "People will die," Iris argued. "A human defended one of our merchants. He protected an elder. We owe him our help." "We owe humans nothing. They are a minor species of no importance." Iris wanted to scream. She wanted to tell them how wrong they were, but she controlled herself. "I am making an official request," she said formally. "I invoke the Emergency Protection Protocol. A diplomatic representative is under threat." "You are not under threat. They are coming for the human, not for you. If the humans fall, no one on this station is safe, including me." There was a long silence on the other end. "We will consider your request," the voice said finally. "No promises." The connection ended. Iris stared at the blank screen, her heart's heavy. She had tried. It probably would not be enough. The next morning, Iris found Ho on an observation deck. He was alone, staring out at the stars. His face was peaceful, but his eyes were distant. She stood beside him quietly. Neither spoke for a long moment. "Are you afraid?" she finally asked. Ho considered the question. "Yes, only fools are not afraid of death, but fear does not control me. It is just another feeling like hunger or tiredness. I acknowledge it and move on." "How do you do that, stay so calm?" He turned to look at her. "Many years of practice, many fights, many moments when I thought I would die." He smiled slightly. "Eventually, you learn that worrying does not help. It only steals the peace you have left." Iris moved closer to him, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his body. "I contacted my government," she said. "I asked them to help." "You did not have to do that." "I wanted to, I needed to." She looked up at his face. "You matter to me, Ho. I do not fully understand why, but you do." His expression softened. He reached out and gently touched her hand. His skin was warm against her cool blue fingers. "You matter to me too," he said quietly. "These past days talking with you, I have not felt this way in a long time. Like maybe the universe is not all darkness and pain. Like maybe there is something worth living for." Iris felt her heart's racing. She turned her hand over and held his fingers in hers. "If we survive this," she said, "I want to know everything about you. I want to know about Earth and your history and your dreams. I want." She stopped, uncertain how to continue. "What do you want?" Ho asked gently. "I want there to be an after, for both of us." He squeezed her hand. "Then we will fight for it together." They stood in silence, watching the stars, their hands intertwined. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different lives, finding in each other something precious and unexpected. The moment was broken by Commander Ho's voice on the intercom. "All personnel alert. Ship has entered the system. They will dock in 1 hour." Iris felt ice spread through her body. 1 hour. In 1 hour, everything would be decided. Ho released her hand. His face had become calm again, controlled. The warrior was returning. "Stay hidden," he told her. "Do not come to the docking bay. Whatever happens, you need to be safe." "I am not going to hide while you fight." "Iris." "No," she straightened her spine and lifted her chin. We are not warriors, but we are not cowards either. I will stand with you." For a moment, something like pride shone in his eyes. Then he nodded slowly. "Then stay behind the humans. Let us take the first blows. Promise me that." "I promise." He turned and walked toward the exit. Then he stopped and looked back at her. "Iris, whatever happens today, thank you for seeing me, for believing in me, for making me feel like more than just a fighter." She could not speak. She could only nod, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. Then he was gone. Iris stood alone on the observation deck. Through the window she could see a distant ship growing larger. The had arrived. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer to whatever gods might be listening. A prayer for protection. A prayer for courage. A prayer for the human who had captured her hearts. Then she opened her eyes and walked toward the docking bay. Whatever happened next, she would face it at his side. The humans were gathering when she arrived. 50 of them stood in loose formation near the docking bay entrance. They had no weapons. They had no armor. They had only their fists and their courage and the fierce determination in their eyes. Ho stood at the front. Beside him were Hana and Commander Ho. Behind them, humans of every age and profession waited for what was coming. The docking bay doors began to open, and the 12 warriors stepped into the light. They were even more terrifying than Iris had imagined. Each one was massive, covered in battle scars. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that could cut through metal. Their yellow eyes swept across the crowd of humans with contempt and hunger. The leader stepped forward. He was the largest of them all, and his voice boomed like thunder. "We have come for the human called Ho. Surrender him to us and the rest of you will be spared. Refuse, and we will kill everyone on this station." No one moved, no one spoke. Then Ho stepped forward. "I am Ho," he said calmly, "and these are my people. If you want me, you will have to go through all of us." The leader laughed. 50 soft humans against 12 warriors. You are already dead." Ho smiled. It was a dangerous smile full of secrets. "Then come and kill us, if you can." The docking bay was silent. 50 humans faced 12 warriors. The air was thick with tension, heavy with the promise of violence. Iris stood behind the human lines, her heart pounding. She had never been in a battle before. She had never even witnessed real violence until she came to this station. Now she was about to watch people die. She was about to watch Ho die. No, she refused to accept that. There had to be another way. The leader raised his weapon. "Last chance, humans. Surrender the warrior or—" "Wait," Iris pushed forward through the crowd. Humans tried to stop her, but she moved past them. Ho's eyes widened with alarm. "Iris, no, get back." But she ignored him. She walked into the empty space between the two groups, directly in front of the leader. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was strong. "I am Iris of the Dominion. I invoke the Emergency Protection Protocol under Galactic Convention 7B. This station, and all its inhabitants are now under diplomatic protection." The leader stared at her. Then he laughed, a deep, ugly sound. "Diplomatic protection. You are one small, what can you do?" Iris lifted her chin. "Nothing, but the Dominion can do quite a lot." She pressed a button on her communicator, and she prayed. For a moment nothing happened. They continued to laugh. The humans stood tense and ready. Iris felt her hope beginning to fade. Then the station's alert system activated. "Warning, multiple vessels detected. Warships entering the sector. Repeat, warships entering the sector." The laughter died instantly. Through the massive windows of the docking bay, everyone could see them. 3 enormous ships, elegant and deadly, dropping out of hyperspace like silver ghosts. The Dominion was not a warrior culture, but their technology was centuries ahead of most species. Their ships carried weapons that could crack planets. The leader's face had gone pale beneath his scales. Iris smiled sweetly. "The Dominion has accepted my request. Any violence against this station will be considered an act of war against the people." "This is not your business," the leader roared. "This is a matter of honor." "Then take your honor elsewhere. This station is protected. These people are protected. The human called Ho is protected." Her voice became cold as space. "Leave now, or my government will turn your ship into dust, and then they will visit you and have a conversation about respecting diplomatic law." The warriors looked at each other. They were fearsome fighters, but they were not stupid. A battle with the Dominion would mean the destruction of their entire clan, perhaps their entire species. The leader's claws tightened on his weapon. His yellow eyes burned with hatred and humiliation, but he knew he had no choice. "This is not over," he growled. "One day the human will be unprotected, and we will remember." "One day is not today," Iris said calmly. "Leave." For a terrible moment she thought he might attack anyway. Then he turned and barked orders to his warriors. They moved back toward their ship, their faces twisted with rage. No one breathed until the ship undocked and began moving away from the station. No one spoke until it vanished into hyperspace. Then the humans began to cheer. The sound was like thunder. They shouted and laughed and embraced each other. Some were crying. Some were jumping up and down. The fear and tension of the past days released in a wave of joy and relief. Iris felt arms wrap around her. Hana was hugging her tightly, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us," the human woman said. "You saved all of us." "I just made a call," Iris said, still dazed by what had happened. "The Dominion did the rest." "No," Commander Ho approached her with deep respect in his eyes. "You risked your career. You put yourself between us and the enemy. That took courage, human courage." Iris did not know what to say. She had not thought about courage. She had only thought about Ho, about keeping him alive, about making sure there would be a future for them. Speaking of Ho, she looked around the celebrating crowd, searching for him. She found him standing apart from the others, watching her with an expression she could not read. She walked toward him, her heart's racing. "You could have been killed," he said quietly. "Standing in front of the like that, why did you do it?" "Because I could not watch you die." She stopped in front of him, looking up into his eyes. "Because in the past week you have shown me what true strength looks like. Not violence, not cruelty, but protection, sacrifice, love." His breath caught slightly at that last word. "Love," he repeated. Iris nodded slowly. "I have never felt this way before. I do not fully understand it. But when I thought I might lose you, I knew I had to do something. Anything. Because a universe without you is not a universe I want to live in." Ho was silent for a long moment. His face was unreadable. Then slowly a smile spread across his features. A real smile, a beautiful smile. "I am just a cargo worker," he said. "A broken man from a broken world. I have nothing to offer you." "You are wrong." Iris reached out and took his hands in hers. "You have strength, you have honor, you have a good heart. Those are worth more than all the riches in the galaxy." "The will not approve. Your people and mine are very different." "My people just sent warships to protect humans. I think we are already changing." She squeezed his hands. "And I do not care what anyone thinks. I care about you. Only you." Ho looked at their joined hands. His fingers rough and strong, hers smooth and delicate, two different species, two different worlds. Yet somehow they fit together perfectly. "I have not let myself care about anyone for a long time," he said softly. "The fighting pits taught me that love was weakness, that caring about others only gave enemies something to use against you. And now—" He looked into her eyes. She saw something there that made her heart sing. Warmth, tenderness, hope. "Now I think maybe they were wrong. Maybe love is the greatest strength of all. Maybe it is the only thing worth fighting for." He lifted her hand to his lips and kissed her fingers gently. The touch was soft, barely there, but Iris felt it through her entire body like electricity. "In the cargo bay," she whispered, "when I watched you fight, I said something. Do you know what it was?" He shook his head. "I said I wish he was mine." She stepped closer to him, close enough that she could feel his warmth. "So I am asking you, Ho, will you be mine?" He smiled again, that beautiful, rare smile that transformed his face. "Only if you will be mine too." She laughed, a sound of pure joy that surprised even herself. "I think I have been yours since the moment I saw you." He released her hands and wrapped his arms around her carefully, gently, aware of how strong he was and how fragile she seemed. She pressed against his chest and listened to the strange rhythm of his single human heart. One heart. Humans only had one heart, but that one heart held more love, more courage, more strength than all the hearts of all the species she had ever known. The humans around them had noticed. Some were cheering, some were whistling. Hana was crying again, but she was smiling. Iris did not care. She was exactly where she wanted to be, in the arms of a human, her human. "The galaxy is going to change," Ho said quietly, looking out the window at the ships that still held position nearby. "After today, no one will think of humans as weak again." "Good," Iris tilted her head to look at him. "They should know the truth. Humans are not weak. They are the strongest species in the galaxy, not because of their fists but because of their hearts." Their hearts. A species that would stand unarmed against warriors to protect each other. A species that chooses love over fear, courage over safety, family over survival. She touched his face gently. "That is true strength. That is what the galaxy needs to learn." Ho leaned down and touched his forehead to hers. It was a human gesture of intimacy she had learned, a promise, a bond. "Then we will teach them together," he said. Outside the window, the stars burned bright and eternal. Somewhere out there, they were fleeing in shame. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was beginning to understand that humans were not what they appeared to be. And here, in a docking bay on a small station, two beings from different worlds stood in each other's arms, beginning a story that would change everything. She had come to study humans. She had found something far more valuable. She had found love, she had found courage, she had found a future. She had found him, and she was never letting go.